information systems, monitoring and evaluation at the Internal Audit Agency. And he's also been an IT support specialist with Edits Limited in Birmingham, UK. So these are just a few portfolios that he's held in his career journey as an IT specialist. And so as we have this information, we'd like to delve right into the conversation with him. And so I want to start off with your educational journey. I mean, you studied a BSc in computer science. So one would say that this paved the way for your career. But then you had a master's degree and a PhD in a slightly different field. So would you say that IT or studying IT at some point in school is very vital for building a career in this field, or no matter what you study in your undergrad or in master's, you can still find a way to get into the field?
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, from where I sit, like you rightly said, I read for a Bachelor of Science degree in Computer Science and Statistics, so it was a joint degree from the University of Ghana. My career is a little interesting, very interesting, because it's quite dexterous. I remember just before I moved in here, somebody said, "Are you an IT person?" And I smiled. Yeah, I started my career in IT. Yeah, after studying for the BSc degree in Computer Science and Statistics. Obviously, as a first degree holder, what will just cross your mind and what will come to your mind will be, I have a degree in Computer Science, so definitely I need to work as an IT person. Yeah, God being so good, I did my national service at the Data Processing Center, University of Ghana. Those times we called the registry, where I got more interested in IT because I was working with seasoned IT professionals. At that time, we were trying to automate some aspects of the University of Ghana. So as a national service person then, I worked with lots of seasoned IT personnel who are now directors in the university, and I picked that interest. And then more or less, it was very exciting because what I studied in school, I applied it. But one thing that makes my IT career interesting is whilst still studying as a student for my BSc degree in Computer Science and Statistics, I got the opportunity to be teaching some application packages in computer science. Those times we had Word Perfect. I don't know whether you are aware. Before Microsoft Word became popular, we were doing MS-DOS, Microsoft Disk Operating System. That was before Windows became popular. With MS-DOS, those who understand computers and Unix and all those things, is purely command-based commands. And then we had Lotus 1, 2, 3 that came before Excel became popular. So Word Perfect came in before Microsoft Word. Lotus 1, 2, 3 was there before Excel came in, and then there were some other old, very, very challenging applications that we were using, and even some of the programming languages like C++ and then Java and those things came in later. We were looking at Fortran programming and all those things. So the advantage I had was, whilst a student studying computer science, I got opportunity to have industrial attachment with a company called NCR. I don't know whether it's still there. Yeah, NCR was competitors with IBM at that time. And then during vacation, I would go to NCR, and they had a training school where I sat in, and then so by the time I came out with my first degree, I had some hands-on experience, and that's what I want to encourage lots of people, that just don't go study the theory and then that is it. If you get a chance of getting some attachment, some industrial attachment, or probably some vacation job here and there, it will help. So with that industrial attachment, by the time I came out, I was quite experienced in what I knew about IT. In addition to that, I also got a chance to be teaching some of these application packages. I recall in Kumasi, in Accra, whilst a student. During vacation, I go in, and then some institutions organize some classes, and the little I know I shared, and I learned a lot from there. So by the time I came out with my first degree, I had some hands-on experience. Another colleague of mine was fortunate to have been also assigned to Tara Computers at that time, so he delved into Oracle. So he became an Oracle guru. I think he's currently in Canada working as one of the Oracle gurus somewhere. But I did more of the Microsoft stuff. So if you look at my profile, I did Microsoft Certified Systems Engineering, Microsoft Certified Database Administrator, Microsoft Certified Professional, and then Microsoft Certified Systems Administrator. So I had MCSC, MCSC, MCDBA, all the necessary, those times, the qualifications and the certifications that makes you quite sellable. I had them. So that built my career a lot. So I didn't run away from IT per se, but I started off with IT, and that had given me some advantage and some leverage in the other areas that I find myself. Basically, yeah.
Okay, so I guess based on what you're saying, for someone who probably hasn't studied maybe computer science or statistics, they can do some of these IT professional courses, learn on their own, maybe learn on the internet, YouTube, or other resources, and then maybe gain some of these certifications to be able to practice in the field, I guess.
Yeah, you are right. In the field of IT, we have the regular, it's like accounting. Somebody can do BSc degree in accounting, and somebody can have ACCA or CA. The ACC and the CA are professional certifications in accounting, and then you can still have your degree in accounting. So what I did was, whilst doing my degree in computer science and statistics, I got the advantage to have industrial attachment. So because of my exposure with the industrial attachment, once I came out of school, in addition to my first degree in computer science, I decided to pursue that professional certification. The advantage for the professional certification is it cuts across every area. I remember one time I was working in the UK as an IT support specialist, and my head teacher, it was in a school. At that time, any difficult task or situation they encounter in terms of IT support, I was then visiting that school, I think on Mondays and Wednesdays. I can't really remember, it's quite a while. They know that when Alex is here to provide the IT support, whatever challenge we have with the system, Alex will be able to fix it. So I went in, and one day, my usual schedule, I went in, I fixed it. So he came and said, you might have schooled in UK. I said, no, I don't know anything. I didn't school in UK. Computer science is computer science. The certification is certification. It's Microsoft certification. I did it in Ghana, but it's a Microsoft Certified Systems Engineer. Whether I did it in Ghana or in India, it's the same certification, the same examination that we did. So it's computer science. So whether I'm fixing the computer in UK or in Canada or in Ghana, it's the same thing. It's the same Microsoft applications we are using, the same application systems we are using, the same systems we are using. So what's the big deal? And he was shocked because he thought that probably because I was quite dexterous and being able to fix the challenges, I might have some special skill. I said, no special skill. The same computer science skills that I've applied is the same thing. So there's a place for your degree, and there's a place for your professional. Some people, well, I'll recommend, it's just a recommendation, that go through the training, get a paper, the degree or the master's in computer science if you want to follow that path. And in addition to that, just to be a global figure, to cut across wherever you find yourself, add on any of the certifications. Because there are some employers who will look out for your ability to perform certain functions, and they're able to judge you by your ability to perform those functions from the certifications you have. Well, most of the certifications are scenarios. They give you a scenario. If you're an IT guy, you encounter this, what do you do? So, but then if you work in certain areas or certain places, let's take Ghana, the first thing they look out for is your degree, your master's. So if you don't even have the degree and the master's, straight away you are not even shortlisted for any job. So why not get your degree, get your master's or get your degree, and then in addition to that, add on the certification, so that wherever you find yourself, you're professional. At the same time, you also have your degree to support you. So you have your degree to support you, you have the professional certification. And I think I will also recommend it, because for those of us who took that path, I think it opens certain opportunities that other colleagues of ours didn't get a chance of getting. So I will recommend both. Do your degree and add on any certification at all you want. Yeah, some do find it difficult to go through the rigor of getting a degree or so they'll decide that, look, I'd rather go straight to do the professional. But like I said, if you can, get a 2. It puts you in a better place. The level of confidence you get is far better than somebody who just went straight to do the professional, or somebody who just went straight to do the degree. Try and get a 2. But now I realize that most of the universities are trying to encourage their students to also pursue the professional certification in addition to the degrees that they have. So it's great. Get a professional, add it to what you have, and then you'll be selling. The market is closed. It's difficult, but if you have that, it puts you in a better state. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Thanks for that. Now, let's delve a bit more into the career aspect of the experience you've had today. What would you say is the most significant project you've had to work on in the IT career? And what made it stand out for you? Well,
significant, a lot of them were quite significant, but I'd rather use my first major consultancy job that I got. Okay. A young man, having just come out of school with a degree in computer science, I thought I knew. I knew a lot. Okay. And then there was this company that wanted a programmer to develop a system for them to be able to do some pre-qualification of some contractors. It was a civil engineering company that wanted that. So I was contacted. I learned a lot of lessons. That's why I want to use that one as an example. I also have a background in project management, so yeah, I'm a certified Microsoft, certified project management professional, PMP. Yeah, I got certified some years ago. So here was the case. I had been given a contract to develop an application, right, and the application was supposed to pre-qualify contractors and civil engineers and award some marks for them. I wasn't part of the team that negotiated the contract. So the civil engineering consulting firm went to negotiate and got a contract, and they outsourced that aspect of the systems development bit for me. So I didn't really do a proper systems analysis and design, just went in, asked them what their requirements were, and straight away I said, look, I can do this for you. So straight away I started programming. Yeah, and the kind of challenges and difficulties I went through made it quite significant. So then along the lines, I'll encounter a hitch, and you know how programming is. That I was using, it was a database application, and I was using Microsoft Access. Access also do have some programming aspect behind. So then you realize I'll go and call my colleague and then tell, look, this is where I've got it to work. In the long and short of it is in the end, I was able to deliver, but I couldn't deliver through the software application. So what I did was, after capturing all the data and putting in place the rules and the analysis and everything, I had to extract that data into Excel and then generated the reports for them. The contractor was happy because in the end, whatever he wanted, had been done, but I couldn't use the system to get the output directly. I use the system to capture, to do all the analysis, everything, but the final deliverable, that's the output, the reports were extended. Yeah, I had to create a workaround. I had to extract it into Excel, format it into Excel, and then deliver. But in the end, I delivered. They were happy. I got my money, and I was excited. But it taught me a lot of lessons. So one of the issues was, you just don't go jumping into a system without understanding exactly what you are supposed to deliver. First, find out what your client wants. If possible, come up with a blueprint. Let's discuss the blueprint, discuss the limitations of the system, what the system can do, what the system cannot do. But because I didn't have the blueprint, in the midst of developing the system, they go for a meeting which I wasn't part, then they will come and say, Alex, can we add this feature? I said, no problem, we can add it. Can we? That is not how you develop. Developing a system is like building a house. Come up with a plan and then go ahead and build a house. So you can't be building a house and then the owner comes and says, it will be good to put a bathroom upstairs. Then you just say, I can do it. It will be no. So programming, systems development is methodological. Follow due process. Come out with your blueprint, get a blueprint out, and then straight away you can develop whichever system you want to, but making sure you are meeting the user requirements. That's it. So that's quite one of the significant projects I had. There are several of them, but this one, it wasn't a failure per se, but I learned a lot from it, and that was my first major contract that I had. Immediately I came out of school, and it was quite exciting, jumping around. I had a contract, I'm working on it, and it was good, but it gave me sleepless nights, a lot of sleepless nights, but in the end I delivered, and I thank God for that. Yeah.
So let me ask, have you had to deal with maybe a similar challenge or even a different challenge that you were never really able to see through?
In IT, well, when I was full-time IT, the lesson I learned from my initial challenge taught me certain principles. And along the line, I also learned about project management, where every project has to be properly initiated and planned. You initiate the project, you plan it, you execute it, you monitor and control, and you properly close it. So with that experience, irrespective of whatever field, let's initiate it properly. What are our deliverables? What do we intend to achieve, etc.? You plan, you get sign off, you initiate it, you go ahead, you execute it. I mean, you test. I mean, those things help. So basically, whether you are applying it in IT, in professional project management, the principles are the same. Just make sure you follow due process. And once you follow due process, you'll be able to get a project. But there are certain projects that are challenging, but how do you manage it? You manage it, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, in other words, it means that, I mean, due to your knowledge and understanding or experience in project management, you came to a point where you learned how to ensure that every project that you were put on, at the end of the day, was closed. At the end, like at the end of
So whether it's an IT project, a finance project, a systems you are developing, even audit. I had even done some audit work before. If you go into internal audit, project management is the same principle as a regular project management. You go into construction project management, the same. IT project management is the same. The same principles apply. Just make sure you follow due process and do the right thing and then deliver. Yeah. But IT has been wonderful because it's giving me some leverage, some advantage in other areas I find myself. So I apply my IT skills, whatever, every aspect I apply it, and it's been good for me because the training that I went through to come out with a degree in computer science was quite tough. I'll say, because I did mine in 96. Right. 92 to 96. At that time, computers were not as popular as it is now. Yeah, I remember my first time I went into the computer lab. We had some mini frame computer in the computer lab, and all our workstations were not intelligent workstations. If I say not intelligent, it means that they were just dummy workstations with the mini frame computer in the computer lab. So once the mainframe or mini frame computer is shut down, the terminals were all dead. They couldn't do anything. So you can just imagine, you go enter a room, you see a computer, you have to go and call the technician to come and put on the mainframe, and everything was indoors. Microsoft Disk Operating. Now you have Windows, so you just use your mouse and just you click. But even with Windows, behind Windows, there's some DOS instructions. So even if I'm using Windows applications and I have challenges, I just use the command prompts. Those are the DOS interfaces. I use the command prompt, go behind the command prompt, and then try and then use some DOS instructions, because that is the basis where the computer, the operating system was built upon. Yeah, those who know Unix will understand what I'm talking about. I never went the Unix route. I went the Microsoft route, so I did more of MS-DOS. And I think my knowledge of MS-DOS gave me an advantage over those who didn't know MS-DOS, because MS-DOS was the Microsoft Disk Operating System. Microsoft DOS Disk Operating System was the basis under which Windows 3.1 came, and then Windows 3.11, and then Windows XP, Windows, and then finally we are getting Windows 10.
So
yeah.
The Windows that you're talking about, that's how you were able to navigate even through those dummy
those dummy workstations that I encountered at my first time of seeing computers were, if I say dummy, it means they were not intelligent.
Yes.
So you are able to use that machine because the machine picks its processor from the mini computer, or let me use the word, let me use the modern day, like the server. So it's like you have a server which is intelligent server, and then you have a workstation which is not intelligent. So the workstation is picking the processing from the server. So once you shut down the server, all the workstations are dead. Now this is an intelligent laptop or you have an intelligent laptop, and you can connect this one to a server to share a resource. If you are looking into networking, various, I don't want to go into technical issues today. If you are looking into networking, you have a shared resource. That is why you are linking up the computers together to share that expensive resource. So you could have a terminal that is intelligent, the server is intelligent, but there's a shared resource that you are picking from the server, either a system, an application, a printer, or any peripheral device that you are sharing. But you go through the server to access that shared resource. But those times I started using computers, the workstations were not intelligent, and then the server was the only intelligent system we have. Now things have changed, and then computers are very dynamic. I was looking for a CD drive on a machine, and I checked, all the machines were there, didn't have a CD drive. Those times CD drive was the most popular, and then you are looking at the specs of a machine, you have to get a DVD drive. No, things have changed. When we started, we were using floppy disks, 5 1/4 inches floppy disks, 3.5 inches floppy disks, and then they have the double density, high density floppy disks. Now things are different. Yeah. So computers are quite dynamic. Yeah, quite dynamic. So in a normal calendar year, you can say 12 months make a year. In the computer year, maybe less than 3 months make a year, because what is there today becomes obsolete by tomorrow. Constantly changing. Yeah, becomes quite obsolete. So you need to be somebody who is ready to change, ready to learn, ready to adapt, to be a very good systems guy. I remember I did my MCSC, Microsoft Certified Systems Engineer, using I think Windows Server 2003. By the time I got to England and I was applying that skill, we had server NT. Then within a short while, server 2008 had been, developed. Meanwhile, I got certified in server 2003. Now there's server 2008, and they were slightly different. So what do? I remember I converted my living room into a server room. So I picked one desktop and I converted that desktop as a server, and I had about 2 or 3 laptops. I converted those laptops as workstations, and when I close from work, I come and I practice. So if you want to be an IT person, you have to be somebody who loves to practice, who loves to learn, because things are changing so fast, so fast in IT. I mean, and it's too fast. So if you don't upgrade your skills, you may remain obsolete. But it's interesting because that is how the world is going, and if you are a step ahead, you open up better doors and better opportunities for yourself. Yeah.
Interesting. I think the one thing that really stood out for me is that to be in the IT field, you really need to be someone who is ready to adapt, ready to change, ready to learn the new technologies that are coming up every day, because it's always changing. It's quite interesting. But have you found yourself working in multiple projects at a time, and how did you stay organized and manage all the workload?
Yeah. That's what that one you can't run away from. There'll be instances where you'll be handling multiple projects, but the best approach to me will be take each project separately. Each project has the requirements and the deliverables. You have your timelines for the deliverables, the timelines for, let's say, project A, B, C. You are handling all the 3 projects at the same time. They are all unique because you are delivering a unique product for project A, delivering a unique product for project B, and delivering a unique product for project C. So once you have them, it depends on how you apportion the time, what are the deliverables, the team members you put on each project. If you are a supervisor, I mean, the team members you put on each, you need to know your team members. So what are the human resource requirements, the time requirements, what is the scope of the project, what is the time, what is the cost, what are the risks that each of the project will face, whether it's IT or not, and then you apportion. So we do find ourselves running multiple projects. Not all projects are IT, by the way, but it's how you apportion based on the scope, the time, the cost, the risks involved, what are the quality requirements that you need to meet within this project, and then you know what the user requires, and then you're able to meet it. So it's how you apportion the time.
It really sounds like your experience with project management is actually what enables you to organize yourself like that.
The individual has a role to play, and your exposure also has a role to play. So we are adding it all. Like I said, I'm quite dexterous, do so many things, and I as you read my profile, first degree in computer science and statistics. Once I did that, my first encounter was with a data processing center at the University of Ghana. Then I moved to work with an NGO, non-governmental organization, Planned Parenthood Association of Ghana. I initially went in as an IT officer, and then gradually I metamorphosized into an MIS officer, because IT was purely technical at that time for them. But I wanted to see how best we could apply the IT in management, managing information for management decision making. So in the end, I metamorphosized into an MIS officer, and then we did some research. So I applied my IT skills when I was working with the Planned Parenthood Association of Ghana. Then I went to the Securities and Exchange Commission, where I became the head of IT at the Securities and Exchange Commission. Also purely IT related, where we had servers and workstations trying to give IT support. Yeah, at that time the stock exchange wasn't automated. We were trading. The Securities and Exchange is a regulator of the capital market. For those who don't know, they were trading manually at the stock exchange. So along the lines, we the World Bank came in with some projects and then some support where we're trying to see how best the regulators will be also enhanced in terms of IT. So that also exposed me to some projects in IT where we're able to come up with some systems to support the capital market in Ghana. And then I moved into internal audit, where I also applied my IT skills, where I worked as a director for planning, research, information systems, monitoring and evaluation, and IT and budget at the internal audit. So along those lines, as I was applying my IT skills, my career path gradually shifted into an area of finance, more or less, because then at the Securities and Exchange Commission, I was the head of IT at the Securities and Exchange Commission, where we are regulating the capital market. So straight away, I had to pick up, I don't want to mention names, but there's one person who also influenced my life. May her soul rest in peace. When I was at the Securities and Exchange Commission, I had a Deputy Director General called Idura Korte. She was the ambassador to Italy who passed not too long ago. And she called me and said, Alex, as for you IT guys, you are too technical. Everything is technical. Why not pick up some skills and be able to, because everything was IT, just IT, technical. So when she told me that, I said, fine. Here I find myself working in the Securities and Exchange Commission, regulator of the stock exchange, regulator of the capital market in Ghana. Then I need to pick up some skills to understand the securities industry. So I started taking courses in trading on the stock exchange. At that time, the stock exchange were run. I don't know whether they still run those courses. They were running courses.
I wrote it.
You wrote it, yeah. They had some series of courses, level, whatever. They were running some courses, 5 different modules. So I did all the modules. I wrote exams and I passed, and I started getting interest in the capital market. So I said I could apply my IT skills in the securities industry. I could apply my IT skills here, because the IT guys are too technical, everything IT. So then I pick the skills, I add on more value. That's why I said I'm a man of many parts. Then I found myself in the internal audit agency, where I was working with internal auditors. I said, no, I shouldn't be here working as an IT person, just providing an environment for the internal auditors. If you understand the system, then you can develop an application for them to use. That is where I picked up the skill, where I was applying my project management skills in internal audit functions, where we have something we call certified systems, internal systems, CISA, certified in, systems internal auditor and all those things. So at that time, I still was an IT person, but an IT person working with an internal audit agency. I didn't limit myself to just joining cables or writing programs, and so I needed to pick the skills. So now I realized that I'd pick skills whilst I was working with the securities market. I was handling the IT systems, but I needed to understand the financial applications that they are using to be able to provide that IT support. So then that is, I took all those courses. When I went to internal audit, I needed to understand the thinking of the internal auditors to be able to develop a system and an application for them to use. So then I became a very intelligent internal auditor. But my background was purely IT. I hope you get it.
Yeah.
Then I went into England and I found myself in a school where I was also providing IT support, IT system. I needed to understand attendance systems, their financial systems that they use to manage, because when the systems go, or there's a challenge with the IT systems and they call you the IT guy, it is not that you are going to ask them what is it. You need to understand and appreciate what it is. So then they were using a different system altogether. So I had to also educate myself and learn, take courses, write certifications along those lines as well. Then I found myself in an area of finance and budget. I needed to also learn more about that. That is why I did my PhD in business administration, and then I did something on public financial management. I'm still applying the IT skills I know in public financial management. And I'm applying my IT skills in budgeting. I'm applying my IT skills. So the scattered career is that I built a foundation in IT. You know, at the beginning you asked me, yeah, I built a foundation in IT first, because I told you, IT is a dynamic field. Things are changing every now and then. You need to also be up and on top. I remember, I'll tell this funny story, I'll come back. One Monday, Thursday, Easter Thursday, I was handling the audiovisuals in a church in Selyoke. I had done everything all right, and then the service started. I put on the systems. I was in charge of one of the audiovisual guys, AV, they call it AV. I was part of the AV team. And then boom, the whole audiovisuals, nothing seemed to work. And this was a big church service where we had people around, where nothing seemed, the projections were not working, nothing worked. I felt so uncomfortable. So after church, I went to see the priest. I told the priest that I'm very sorry. He said, oh no, don't worry. So I learned something also from it. That's why I say it's good to listen to some of these legacy series, and then the mistakes that we made along our career, you don't make that same mistake. So I went to the priest. I said, no, don't worry, it's okay. But then I went back. I said, so why was it that just at the time the service was about to start, nothing worked? The audios were not working, the visuals were not working, nothing. Then I said, okay, if that's the case, next time, if I'm coming in, I'll come in early, put everything on, test it, make sure it is working all right before I mute it. So by the time the service is about to start, you just unmute and then everything goes, because you have tested, the feedback had come, everything is all right. So with that experience, that was fine. So you learn through you learn through your career. But like I said, IT is very, very dynamic. You should be ready to sit behind the computer for hours. I remember one time there was a program I was writing. I think you asked me about my first. I spoke about that first pre-qualification, my first project. Yeah. One of the days I sat behind it. I was almost 2 or 3 days. The program was still not running. I think I was using basic programming. Nothing seemed to work. I was just getting error codes on the application. So I just got tired. I just got fed up. I said, look, forget about this thing. And I just threw it off. And I didn't know. I started walking. That time I lived at South Legon. So I walked and I just stood by the roadside, and then some truck came and said, 37. I can't remember. It's quite a while. So I just hopped into the truck. I didn't know where I was going. I was just confused because 3 days I don't think I had even. Crazy. As for you to sit behind the machine for almost 3 days and still the program wasn't working. So I just got there, and then when I got down, somebody was about Labadi or something. I just sat in the truck. I was confused, and I found myself at the beach. I just sat down, just observed the sea breeze. People were swimming. I just sat down quietly. I just sat down. I just took my mind off that problem. I took my mind off that code that wasn't working. After about 2-3 hours, I just went back, got home, took a shower, relaxed, put on the machine. The first line I visited, I saw some comma in the program that I think shouldn't have been there. I took that comma out, and the program started running. And that solution just came just like that.
Wow.
So I sat behind this machine for almost 3 days without finding a solution. I took some time off. just took my mind off, and through some divine intervention, I'll say God gave me that ability. I came back, and just one code, I was able to fix that problem. So those are some of the challenges you face as an IT person, because you really want to get the application working. And for those who might find themselves in mission critical systems, where when the systems is going down, it means that your job is going down. A similar thing happened to me. I went to one of my, I've done so many things. At work, one day at work, I had configured a server. We were using the Windows 2000, Microsoft Server 2008. Configured a new server for a school. Everything was there. Not knowing all the systems in the school were linked to some switches. So the security systems, including the doors opening and closure and everything, was linked to the switches. I didn't know. So after I'd finished everything, I went to put the server down. I climbed up onto the switch and I pulled out some socket from the switch, for those who understand switch. All of a sudden, the whole school doors jammed. You couldn't go in, you couldn't come out. I had locked up the whole system. It was a Friday. So I started fidgeting. I nearly lost my job, seriously. I started fidgeting with this thing. And then finally the doors were open so people could go in, come out. That Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday looked like 10 years to me. Because within that period of 3 days, the amount of report I had to do to my employer, justification why the systems were not working, why I jammed, those are some of the risks that you encounter. Yeah, but the IT field is very interesting, very, very interesting, because a lot of things depend on IT, everything. Now there's Microsoft chips in virtually every device, from your vehicles to your laptop, to your phones, to your aircraft, to whatever you have, everything is IT. So it's an area that I would rather encourage people to move in, but be ready to manage the risks. Every job has a risk. If you're a medical doctor, there are still risks you encounter. If you're a teacher, you encounter risks. If you're an OSOFO, you encounter risks. If you have the calling, you deal with the risks as they come. Every profession have some elements of risks. You just have to make sure you follow due process. As for that one, I learned it in my first project. Make sure you follow due process. What are the deliverables? What are the timelines? What are the do's? What are the don'ts? Follow due process, and then you will enjoy. You will enjoy it. So there are several stories, but as the discussions go on, we can pick it up from there. Yeah.
So in your career, what would you say is like your favorite programming language or technology that you've had to learn? Which one did you enjoy the most?
Me. I was doing C++. There's a programming I don't know whether it still exists, because the IT is very dynamic. Yeah, we started with COBOL programming, and then C++, and then C++. So I really enjoyed C++ as a programmer. Now I don't know whether it exists, so I can't. And it's a long time since I used it, so I've forgotten much about it. But I enjoyed C++, and then as part of my training in school, one of the aspects of IT I enjoyed was systems analysis and design, because in that case you really need to appreciate and understand the requirements that a user wants, and then translate that requirements into technical requirements for a developer to come and take it and then develop. So you interact, which I love doing. You interact to find out the user's requirements. Assuming there's a new system, you want to develop a system for Accra church system. I'll talk to the OSOFOs, talk to you, talk to the church members. What are your requirements? What do you need? What exactly do you want? And then translate that requirements into a computer technical requirements and then get the developers to develop it from there. So one of the areas I loved was more of the systems analysis bit, maybe because of myself as an individual. I wasn't too much of a crazy programmer when I was in hardcore IT because of some of the experiences I had. Like I told you about the comma that kept my basic program not running for almost three days, and then me jamming the whole school system where the whole school security network in UK was jammed for also another 3 days. It wasn't pleasant. They weren't pleasant moments, but you learn from it and then you become somebody better. So make sure you follow due process, because you may find yourself in a mission critical area, like working with an airline where you don't make mistakes, because when you make the mistakes, you are getting people losing their lives. So follow due process. Make sure the quality processes are done, and then that would be great. Exciting career in IT. Yeah.
You spoke about in the system analysis that you need to get user requirements, from the different parties of people involved first before you can go ahead to develop the systems itself. And I guess that would bring in the concept of, communication and dealing with people who are not necessarily IT or technology inclined. I remember at a point in the conversation you talked about the fact that someone would come and tell you that, hey, you these IT guys, you are too technical and stuff like that. So I just want you to delve into that a bit more. How were your communication skills developed, having to deal with people who are not technical when it comes to IT?
Yeah.
Breaking things down for them to understand, follow, your thought process, to enable them to follow your thought process and understand.
Yeah, basically, IT guys are technical people. That one is true. They'll come and they'll be using the jargons, the bits and the bytes and the routers, and you get confused. So one of the things I did is, if I'm working with a group of people, if I'm working with accountants, I need to understand their language. Understand the language that accountants use, and I will use the language to communicate with them in the IT setting. For instance, I did some course in pastel accounting. I'm not an accountant, I'm an IT person. But here's the case, I found myself working in an environment where the accountants needed support in pastel accounting. Pastel accounting is one of the accounting softwares that are there. So I had to train and learn pastel accounting. So when they have challenges with the accounting system and they come to me, I'm able to use their language and I'm able to solve it for them, because I was providing what I call IT support. You get it? I was providing IT support, so I needed to understand the language. So one of the things that had helped my communication is that the environment I find myself in, and I'm providing IT services, whether it's IT support or it's developing a system or whatever it is, I educate myself in that field and I'm able to communicate with them in that field, providing that IT support to them. And that is one of the things that I always do. So that has helped with my communication. I told you about the first contract that was with a civil engineer, where we're pre-qualifying contractors. I needed to learn the language that they were looking for. I'm not a civil engineer, so then that time we had some guys from Tech, KNUST, civil engineers who had graduated, so they became my friends. So I go to them, they explain the things to me, then I'll go and then I'll talk as if I'm a guru in that field. I wasn't a guru in that field, but I learned from the civil engineers because I was developing a system for civil engineers. So I needed to understand their language so that I'm able to communicate with them. So in as much as IT is technical, if you find yourself working with Boeing and you are developing some applications for flying, you need to understand the flying language so that you're able to communicate with them, get the requirements, and then be able to convert that requirement into system requirements and develop whatever support you need to give them. And that is it. So don't limit yourself to me. Don't limit yourself and say, I'm an IT person, all I know is Java. So anything Java, not if it's not Java, don't come to me. What if Java becomes dead in the next year or two? Yeah. What do you do? Those times we were using pinhole cameras and Kodak was doing the films. You go and print the camera and the films. Now it's no longer, it's dead. So if you are
people are entering, the cameras are coming on phones.
Yeah.
They're not paying attention to it. They don't sell as much as they did.
Yes. So if you, and it's happened. So you need to be dynamic, seriously dynamic. I know we are technical people, but yeah. So we use the language, we use the jargon, but that is it. You need to make sure in communicating with whoever you are working with as an IT person, if you find yourself in you are developing a software for the church, for instance, or providing IT support for a church, try and understand what a church does. What do they do? What are the requirements? What is the terminologies they use? Use those terms, and then you'll be able to communicate with them. But in all this, you are still an IT person providing support. I see and I use IT as a tool. So if you are using IT as a tool, then you need to be dexterous, cut across all fields. Some use IT purely providing technical services, and that is all they do. If that is the path you want to go, no worries. But still, it doesn't exist in isolation. IT doesn't exist in isolation. The world is moving IT, everything is moving IT. There will be the need for more IT careers, so you still need to move on from there.
So I was going to ask which industries do you think will be most impacted by IT in Ghana? And which industries do you think will be the least? It can be subjective.
You've answered your question. All industries will be impacted by IT because the world is going IT. Let's take the field of medicine. Telemedicine is coming in. So if you want to be an IT person and you want to move into telemedicine, why not? Let's move into the legal field. You could still apply. They are trying to even automate our court system.
I was part of some putting the cases on the platform.
So IT, it will be difficult for me to answer your question and see that this field will be less impacted or more impacted. It is rather the field that will leverage on IT will be ahead. Seriously speaking, whichever field, profession that will leverage on IT most will be ahead. Because for instance, those times we're using typewriters, I'm using a very basic, simple example. Those times we're using typewriters. A board chairman will write a letter, give it to the typist, for the typist to use that noisy machine to type, bring it back. There are mistakes, they go back and type, and then it developed into an area where you can erase. At first, you couldn't even erase with the typing. It developed into an area where you can erase. So you see that they'll use an eraser, erase it some way, and then they'll type. How long has it taken? Is that what I think? It's like Tipex. How long has it taken? One letter. It goes, it comes, and then we moved a step further, where now we had computers to provide some services. So if you are the secretary, and you still see that it is just the typing that you need. You can't bold easily, you can't underline easily, you can't highlight easily, but you still stay with your typing. Then you are not leveraging on IT, you'll be left behind. So the industry that will leverage on IT will rather move ahead than to say that this industry will be lagging behind. So let's leverage on IT, move forward.
So that means the country as a whole that doesn't will be left behind.
But who makes the country? Is the individuals in the country that make the country. So if the individuals are left behind, then the country as a whole is also left behind.
But I'm saying this from the angle of macro and micro, in the sense that, so for example, I went to Rwanda. The government is intentional about IT. So the registering of companies, stuff like that, they've taken their time to streamline it and digitalize it, whereby you can apply for, once you have only a passport, you can apply for a limited liability online and get everything done online, and it's emailed to you, whereby wherever you carry that paper is valid. Do you get me? Right now, if I need a company here, I have to go to Register General. Do you get me? And even with Register General, I have to join the line. And Register General has evolved, because back then the paper and pen were more than it is now. Now there's the bank there, you pay, the systems have been automated. But I believe that if the government is also intentional about it, as much as the individuals, do you get me? The holistic results will be explosive.
I agree with you, because you are talking about that intentional approach by government to drive systems forward. This Rwanda you are talking about, there are some Ghanaians who are advising the government, and the government is taking advantage of it. I also came from Rwanda just some few days, not too long ago. Yeah, and the same thing you are saying, I'm confirming it. They had intentionally leveraged on IT in everything that they do. I went to some common shop, let me use the word common, in Kigali. I didn't want to change money. I just went, first I went to a pharmacy shop. I'm looking for this drug, they gave it to me. I said, do you accept card? It was as if I was asking a useless question. I'll say I was insulting them because it's automatic.
Right.
So all I did was that I just took my EcoBank card, Zenith card, one of my cards. I just pop it in. How much is it? I even can't remember how much it was. I just look at the money. I even didn't bother myself with exchange rate. All I did, I put in my PIN, and there it was. Then I went to a common shop. After going through all my security checks, that's for their security. After going through all my security checks, I went in. What did I want? Just came in. I went to the till. As I said, do I have a something number? I said, what are you talking about? He said, is it like a TIN number? I said, I'm not from here. After the negotiation, I just pop in my card. So they had intentionally taking IT forward, and the level of development, you might not believe you are in an African country if you step on the streets of Kigali now, because they had transformed. Because it's not only IT leadership, and then they also leveraged on IT. I'm using IT because you asked the question on whether I will be left behind. Yeah, but I also know some Ghanaians who are there. I even met a Ghanaian there last week who is also helping them in their pension system. So we have the brains, it is we not taking advantage of the technology, and we not taking advantage of this to move forward. There's no way they should be able to compare themselves with us. But now if we stand with them, they are ahead of us as Ghanaians, mainly because apart from leadership, apart from any other thing you can think about, they also had the investment. People were moving in resources into that country because of the history that they have out of the genocide and all those things. People were moving in, but they have leveraged on IT. When I'm moving out of my hotel, I'm free. When I'm entering, I have to go through rigorous search just to make sure everything is IT based. Just to make sure I'm okay. I get in. I can't even move out of my floor to any other floor except I giving access to it with my card. Yes, I mean, you will really be impressed. But it's all leveraging on IT. So the industry that doesn't leverage on IT, the country, the people that do not leverage on IT could be left behind, because IT is very dynamic and it is now driving the world. It's one of the best industries, but it is very dynamic. If you're a lecturer, if you're a teacher, you don't leverage on. Well, those times when I was doing my first degree in university, we were using chalk, even at the university. Then gradually started using the marker. Now, the lecturer can decide even not to put a pen on. They use the slides, they use the projectors. You can get it available. If you want to go playback, you can go online. You go to your learning management system. I don't know what Legon use. I think they use Sakai. Legon uses Sakai. You go into your learning management system. I use other learning management systems. Yeah, and you still have access to it. Yeah, so people are leveraging. So let's leverage on IT. But IT guys should also be a little dexterous and not be too technical, even though the field is a technical field, so that you pick skills, the language across board, and then make sure you get what you are supposed to get using due process in IT. Yeah, and using due process. So nobody will be left behind if you all move together. But some industries that will not leverage on it will be left behind. If you go to our markets, we can even use scales to weigh our tomatoes and our onions instead of putting it on the floor and then putting it and counting 4 tomatoes, selling it, looking at it and say that this one is like 2 cedis, this one like 5 cedis, this one. Even the king cry, sometimes they'll look at you and then they'll, yeah. I mean, we could leverage on IT and everything. And countries that have leverage are moving forward. I mean, so those are the areas. Yeah, the professions. There are several professions. IT is also broad. Yeah. We have the hardware side, we have the software, we have the engineering side, you have the security, etc. I know someone who said he wants to be an ethical hacker. Somebody said he wants to move into hardware. I remember one of my numerous interviews. Numerous interviews I went, and after the interview they asked me, oh, whatever. So I said no. I said, look, I can come in and provide in the earlier part of my career, I can come in and provide the support, but I cannot open up the machine and join the cables and fix it, because I'm not a hardware person. We have the network guys who are into network security, and they put up the systems. That is the area. There are several areas of IT. So if you want to build a career in IT, like I said from the beginning, get a basis. You get a degree, or you get a professional certification, or you get a combination of both. Based on your interest, your personality, build your skills in whichever area you want to go to, and then use the language of your clients, so that you're able to communicate. They're able to communicate. They're able to use the IT system as a tool to help them meet whatever deliverable they want to meet, or meet their mandate. Yeah.
Interesting. So what would you say are some of the challenges that exist in the IT industry today, even though it's rapidly evolving?
The challenges in IT, one is broad. So you need to fix yourself somewhere. Okay. You can't be a jack of all trades. Yeah. People are moving into web technology. That is the area they want to. What about hardware? What about networking? What about, so networking, IT security, they are quite linked. You know, Cisco systems, people are moving to software, systems analysis, design. Somebody will not be able to even program, but he can look at the requirements and couch the requirements for a programmer to do. You move to even nations. They have integrated financial management information systems, IFMIS systems across globe. They need people to support them with their IFMIS systems. Ghana, we use GIFMIS. We've added G to it, that's why it doesn't matter. Ghana integrated financial management. If you go to Rwanda, like we said, you were in Rwanda, they call it IFMIS, integrated financial management. People are using financial management information systems, speak their financial language. If you want to move into system, so the challenge with IT is broad. One, fix yourself somewhere. Don't be a jack of all trades.
Yeah,
find your footage and then build your strength inside. So I remember looking for IT person. I said, I apply IT. I'm not doing a hardcore IT person. That is one. So it's broad. The second challenge is that it's dynamic. It moves fast. So you should be somebody who is ready to adapt and adjust quickly. The third one I can talk about is it's time consuming. If you are writing the code and then you need to debug and it is just some comma somewhere or some asterisk somewhere that is killing you, then you are not sleeping for 3 nights. You need to solve that problem because there's a deliverable to be met. So it is also time consuming. So you need somebody, you need to have the patience, time to do that. Apart from that, sometimes the training makes you too technical, which I've tried to avoid. I haven't used any technical jargon in my discussion today. I haven't used any technical jargon. Sometimes you become too technical and then you are talking there. I mean,
yeah, it sounds abstract.
Sounds abstract. Because you live in your own world and then you do whatever. You are using codes here and there. You see 01001, 00101. What does that mean? It's a binary code, but I can also say that it's my chart of accounts code because my 01 is my institutional code, 001. So there are jargons, but make sure you break it down. So those are the challenges, and then it's quite intensive, quite time consuming. But if you look at that, they are not challenges because every field is the same. When I speak with a software right now, he also come and tell me his job is challenging. He has no time for himself, for his family. He's moving here and there. He's being called. If you speak to a lecturer, he also say the time is consuming. So make sure you have the interest, build your skill, build the capacity, know what you want, get your specialty, and continuous learning, continuous improvement, continuous learning, because it is a dynamic field. By the time you master one application, 2 more applications have been developed. So, but if you have the foundation, and you have, that's why I'm recommending get at least a degree, get a professional, and as the courses evolve, you take more of these professional courses to add up to your skill. And once you get to the learning doesn't end until you get to the grave. The medical doctors are also learning. New diseases are coming, new variants are coming. So that's it. Every field, to me, is the same. You go into nursing, go into broadcasting, things have changed. You go into accounting, you think nothing changed. They are moving from IPSAS to whatever, IFRS, things are changing every now and then. Architecture, the designers are changing. So which field? All the fields, we all have the same challenge. So if you have the interest, build and go.
But
Yeah.
So what about someone who is not necessarily looking to go into IT? You know, you spoke about how we are in a technological age and how the world is moving towards IT. So maybe there are certain key skills or certain basic skills that as an individual in HR, in medicine, in academia, you may want to maybe pick up on so that you can still be competitive in your field. Are there certain basic skills you would recommend that at least the average person should have to be able to be tech savvy?
So an average person to be tech savvy, look at your field and see how you can apply IT as a tool to make you better. If you're a lawyer, how can you apply IT, information technology to make you a better lawyer? And your task will be use that skill, and if you can't, get somebody who has a superior knowledge to train you into it so that you'll be able to apply it. You sit behind the machine, you don't know how to send an email, my goodness. And you're a lawyer, you can't send an email. Then go get somebody who knows how to do it to teach you. I remember in earlier part in our career, we had somebody with a legal background who sent an email. That's some years ago. Yeah, I mean, and then she typed all in capital letters. And it went to the recipient and he said, what has this lady done? she's typed everything in caps. No, you're applying the skills. No, you don't type everything in caps and send it by email to your boss. Maybe those in the modern age might think you are shouting, because if you type it in caps, it means you are shouting. Yeah. So you need to know and apply it, because we're moving. So whichever field you are in, you don't want to be an IT person. I know. You want to be an HR person. No problem. You are still an HR person. How do you apply IT in your recruitment? How do you apply IT in your selection process? How do you apply IT even in your interviewing process? How do you apply IT in managing the human resource? Even how do you apply IT even in assigning them to tasks, roles, and responsibilities? How do you apply IT in measuring their performance? That is a question for you if you're a human resource person. And if you are unable to apply the IT skills, get the technical guys who use the technical language, the IT people, to come and train you into it. There are systems, there are tools, there are softwares, there are applications that can help you do your work better. Yeah, if you are in medicine, a lot of pen and paper. Still doing pen and paper.
Automate your systems.
You can automate your systems to make you work better. Nowadays, I'm able to walk into the clinic without that hospital card. Once I mention my name and the date of birth, or I know the number, they're able to retrieve the records for me. Is it not efficient? I remember those times you go to the polyclinic. I'll speak to you. You card. You go there. You card. Sometimes 2 hours you are waiting for the card, because they have to flip through to find your book. And if they don't find it, then they'll create a new one for you. So by the time I finish, you have about 16 different books. One, your name was spelled with a key. The second one, they spelled the name with a Q. The third one, they made a mistake. They left the HR. The H out. So you have one is Amankwah with a K, one with Amankwah with a Q, one Amankwah with a double A, one Amankwah with a H. You are the same person because the systems were not automated. Now when they are looking for the folder, they can't find which is which. So even if you are in medicine, how do you leverage on IT to make your work better? So irrespective of the profession, so there are two groups of people you are talking about here. Yeah. We have the IT people who are trained in IT, and their role is to develop, maintain the technology for us to use. And we have all the professions who can leverage on IT to also become better. So irrespective of where you find yourself, make sure you use the right language, follow due process, and then you'll be able to meet the deliverables that you are supposed to meet. Yeah.
Okay. And I think in everything you have talked about, it's very clear that the IT field is quite demanding, and there's a lot that is expected from you as a professional to be able to make it in the field. So how do you manage the stress and the pressure that comes with, certain projects that may require tight deadlines? I think you talked about one in your experience where it's like you had to go to the beach and just free your mind so that you could come back and focus and get it done. But are there other ways you deal with the pressure that comes with it so that your mental health can be?
You want to come here?
I remember something you said that stuck with me.
Right.
You didn't say it for IT, but you said basically, do what you can and leave the rest to God. You remember?
Yeah.
Do what you can, pray about it, and then leave the rest to God.
Oh.
Choose your battles wisely. That's just a sign. But it stuck with me. Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Yeah. Well, this maybe today you take something different than. Yeah. As for the pressure, we need to understand that there's pressure in every field, every profession, not only in IT. How do I deal with the pressure? You've answered it for me. I'll do what I can. I'll leave the rest to God. If I can't leave the rest to God, I'll leave it to God. If I can't leave it to God, I'll leave it to God. Because there's a limit as to what you can do as a human being. Like I told you, I sat behind this code, 3 days, no solution. I can't do anything. I said, forget about it. Just moved around, walked around, prayed, relaxed, free my mind, came back, the solution was there. So in dealing with the pressure is everywhere. Fortunately, I have a very understanding wife. I have very understanding children, and they understand the pressure I go through, and then they provide the necessary support. when I'm under intense pressure, they know. I remember there was a time I had fixed some rules in the house for the children in terms of using of technology, computers. And then one day, I'm sure my son, if I tell him this, he won't remember. He said, Daddy, you told us that we shouldn't be using the computers at this time. But as for you, every day, you are behind the computer. I said, okay, I'll tell you a story. Yesterday, I thought I was going to Coventry to work. I didn't check my schedule, not knowing my line manager. I was then in UK. My line manager has changed my schedule from Coventry to Birmingham. I didn't check.
Oh, wow.
And I moved my car, drove all the way from my house in Selyoke, went to Coventry. When I got there was nobody there. So I said, Kweku, you know why? So when you see me sitting behind the computer, it's not that I just like sitting there. That is my work. And that is what I used to work. So if in the morning you see me behind the computer and I tell you, you go and study, go and read your book, after that, go and sit behind the computer, you have to understand. Because my work was such that my schedule, even my timetable was online. Was automated. So if I don't check it, maybe by the time I'm closing Friday night, I know today, because it was a contract-based thing I was doing with a job. So if I wake up in the morning, I know Tuesdays I'm going to this school to provide support. But probably there's another school that had a crisis somewhere. So my line manager has done the arrangement, spoken with the whatever, and then she's gone into the timetabling system and changed my schedule. So if I wake up in the morning, I need to check my schedule. Am I still going to Hollywood Primary School at 9 o'clock? Yes, I am. Then when I move my car to that place, it's fine. So my life was driven by technology. So the pressure was there. And I said I had a very good supportive wife. She understood. So if I wake up this morning, I tell her that today I'm due to provide support in Coventry. So I'll come back at 10 o'clock instead of my usual 6 o'clock I'm here. She has to understand. She understands. She knows. She gives me the support. I try not to carry a lot of work home, but it got to a stage I had to do it because technology was dynamic. So I had to set up a mini, I told this to you earlier, I set up a mini server in my room, in my sitting room, mini workstations. So when I go and I have the challenges and I come home, that one day I can mess it up because it is not live application. It's like a development environment. I test everything, do everything. Once it's okay, I go back and do. So the pressure, you do what you can do and leave the rest to God and pray. Know your role, put in the due process, follow the due process. You'll be able to meet your deliverables. And if you have a sportive family, it gives you an advantage. If you don't have, then pull the family along for them to understand and appreciate the pressure you go through, so that if you are sitting behind the machine, they won't complain that you sit behind the machine too long. So when I told that to my son, the next time he came around and he saw me early morning in the machine, he understood why I had opened up my laptop in the morning, checking my schedule before I set off from home. So now the complaint has ceased because he understood. I gave him that practical example. He was clear. Those that I can, I move them. Sometimes if I realize that it's too much and they're on vacation and whatever, they were younger at that stage, and then the environment provided support where you could even take your kids to the work site. Those times, Ghana environment, I don't know whether we can do that. I carry them in my car and then we go. They have environment where I can keep them. They know that I'm working. We are together at lunchtime, check on them, everything is fine, and come back. So involve the family, and then the pressure they will understand. But the pressure is there. So, but do what you can do, leave the rest to God, and then pray, and then the Lord Himself will come in and then give you direction as to what to do. Just like He gave me direction to take away a comma, that solved a 3 days problem in 1 second. I still remember that story because it was very, very interesting. Yes. Yeah, God can tell you that, why not check this? Well, there were some guys I met last 2 weeks, and I don't think they believed in God. Yeah, said they were damn lucky, they were damn lucky, they were damn lucky, damn lucky. I said, look, damn lucky, okay, you come. And they didn't want to hear God. I said, look, this is not damn. God wanted you to be here at such a point in time. That is why He made you and gave you the opportunity. They still didn't understand, but I'm still praying. At the right time, they understand that they were just not damn lucky. It was God who dropped something in their spirit and asked them to move to this place at a point in time. So pray, do what you can do, leave the rest to God, and then you'll be fine. You'll be fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's an interesting question that has come online, or that was shared online, and it says that, humans have always had a concern about IT or AI stealing their jobs. And with the work of open AI now, can we say our concerns should heighten with the release of, there's this chat GTP4 that has been circulating. So looking at the magnitude of assistance that these applications would offer us, should we be afraid that IT would steal our jobs in the next couple years?
This question, I answered it in 1994, 95, when I started computers. When computers came, and we started using Word Perfect, which is now Microsoft Word, the secretaries in the offices grew wild and said the computer is come to take over their jobs because their bosses will not give them documents to type. So they were afraid that when you bring computer to the office, the secretary becomes redundant. In 92, I told them this, between 92 and 96, I told them that IT will not come and take away your job. What IT will do is that it will let you work better. So instead of IT taking away your job, it will shift your job. It won't take it away. So if it shifts your job and you also don't shift, the technology will shift you. So if you don't want the technology to shift you, when the technology shifts, you too shift. IT will not take your job. Don't we still have secretaries? Where that come? Bosses still type their documents, but they still have secretaries. Smarter secretaries learned the system. They and their boss are able to share documents on shared folders. The secretary goes in, does the work. The boss goes in, edits it. The boss instructs the secretary, he prints it, he brings it to the boss signs, and the documents goes away. It is a shift in jobs, not a loss of jobs. So personally, I don't think IT will come and steal your job. IT will come and shift your job and shift your focus. If you don't shift yourself, then the technology will take away your job. But I think the technology rather make your job better. So if you want to keep your job, make sure you enhance your skill. There's a limit as to what, God is wonderful. There's a limit as to what technology can do. You can program technology to mimic individual intelligence. It is based on predetermined set of instructions. But we, the human beings, we are not based on predetermined set of instructions. You can take anything at any moment and then do anything at any time and think at any time. So if you give garbage to any artificial intelligence application, it will give you garbage out. It's garbage in, garbage out, based on predetermined. So the human being, well, let's see how the world goes. But I don't think technology can 100% replace the human being, because it's the human being who is programming the system. So if the human being is not there to program the system, how can the system work? So it won't take away your job. I believe, that's my view, because like I said, even in 1992, between 92 and 96, around 94 area, because I was training secretaries on how to use Word, Microsoft Word. That time, Word Perfect 6.0 had come and then changed to Word Perfect 8.0. And I said, this thing would come and take away our job. The bosses would not give our documents to type. And from 92, 96 to now, the secretaries are there. Word has come, even improved. Now even predictive text, when you are typing the thing, it's even predicting for you and going ahead. Does that mean the secretaries have lost their jobs? They have enhanced their jobs. Those who are smart have enhanced their jobs, and now they are not doing typing. Any secretary who's doing typing will lose their job. You should do more than typing. You should manage the office of your boss. When he goes for the board meetings and there are decisions to be taken, circulars to be released, go ahead and then do a draft, send it to him. He will edit it by soft, send it to you by soft, and then you are there. So the person who sent the question, I understand your question clearly, but don't be scared. The technology will not take over your job. It will take over your job if you don't position yourself well. It will rather shift your job. So when it shifts, you need to shift. When it shifts, you need to shift along with it, and I think you will not lose your job. Yeah, I think so.
Thank you for that. I think it's a concern that has been shared, like especially in recent times, with this whole AI robots that are being made to do all sorts of functions that previously human beings were doing. But I think it's a very nice perspective to say that it's not taking away your job, but it's rather motivating you to do better.
So
add more skills.
if you have 16 people, well, who will be standing there in a factory, when the can comes, they pick it, move to the person, the next person moves now, and now computers can do that. What happens to the people? That's what somebody will be worried. Exactly. What happens to the people is they need to enhance your skill so that you rather are able to shift and provide some other services that artificial intelligence might not be able to provide. You also have to target and know which areas you move into. So like I said, I just like the simple secretary example. Those secretaries who didn't move on, their services are no longer needed. But those who shifted and moved on, picked on higher skills, are managing chief executives, and they don't call themselves secretaries again. They call themselves some personal assistants. They call themselves executive assistant. They call themselves technical assistants. They call themselves whatever. Because if you still call yourself secretary, then computers will kick you out. Or AI, you call or you are a loading boy. The computer systems can come and load more than you, the human being, you do. So why not learn how to, assuming you are somebody who learn, how do you call it? A manual job where you are digging a foundation for somebody. Now with the machines there, somebody can sit on the caterpillar and within 2 minutes he has finished digging the foundation. So if I'm somebody who digs the foundation and I know I'll be shifted, then I'll rather shift and learn how to operate that machine. So that when the machine comes, I'll be the first person to be called to operate it. It's not easy. It's not easy, but the fear is there. It's a genuine fear, but don't be scared. Shift your focus. Shift your focus. Shift, and then you will not be shifted. And then do what you can do. You pray and leave the rest to God. Yes. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Another question has come in from online, and it says that so for the IT job, you have to work with your laptops or with your computers and look at the screen for 8 hours plus every single day. So what's the best way to deal with eye strain, that potential
eye strain? Okay. When computers started, the radiation, the computer screen was like the TV, the one that we had, the long one, the cathode ray tube one. And the intensity of the radiation was so high that we came up with what we call anti-glare. So you have the computer, you go and buy another screen, like a filter. I don't know that you came to, you didn't meet it. You flip it over your screen. Like an extra layer to absorb the intensity. And then technology evolved, and then we started using the liquid crystal display, the LCD screens, like these ones. These ones don't use cathode. Cathode ray, like it will be big like this. This one don't use cathode ray tube. So the intensity is not as high as it used to be. So as an IT guy, you sit behind the machine a lot. The trick for me, which I would advise, is I don't sit behind for too long at a point in time. At first, maximum 2 hours. I'll sit, stretch, and do you know the trick I use? The trick I use is that I'll drink a lot of water. When I drink a lot of water, I'll be forced to go and use the washroom. And when I'm forced to go and use the washroom, I'll stand up from my machine, go to the washroom, go and use it and come. So as I do that, you realize that I don't sit behind the machine if I'm seriously under intense pressure for more than 2 hours. I also blink my eyes. I keep my eyes moist, blink it. Sometimes I stand up, I do the little stretches just to keep my mind and my eyes off the screen, because you sit behind the screen for hours. This radiation is not as intense as the old ones. It's filtered, so we don't need the filters again, but make sure you regulate the intensity on the screen, and if you are unable to regulate it, I will advise that don't sit behind for too long. After a while, blink your eyes, move out, drink some water, use the washroom, take some tea or coffee, stretch a bit and come back, so that you don't sit behind it for too long. Consistently, it's just a matter of sitting it consistently for too long. So I know somebody's listening to me. I know. So after a while, just do it. So sometimes you see me working, I always have some water by me, and I take a lot of tea as well. Something that will just make me move out from the screen. Yeah, so I'm there working. After a while, I stretch a bit. And there are some exercises you can do apart from blinking your eyes. Sometimes you see me turning my neck 360 degrees up and down, do some few stretches, just to keep me up. But for me, my trick is the water that will force me to move from my machine to the washroom and come back. That break of 2 minutes or 5 minutes, that's miracles for me. And as a Christian, when I'm moving there, I'm just not moving to the washroom for moving sake. I'm either praying, thanking God, stretching, thinking through. By the time I come back, new ideas had come, and I sit down and I continue. Yeah. So don't sit behind the screen for too long. Blink your eyes, walk around a bit, and the consistent sitting behind for too long can affect your eyes. Yeah, but you can manage it by some of these tricks, and you can read a lot about it. There are a lot of tricks apart from what I've shared with you that you can do. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Wow. Okay. Thanks for that. So another question is dropping in that says that there are concerns in the Western world that various apps, for example TikTok, secretly gathers the personal data of users. If this is true, what can be done in these parts, or like in Ghana, to avoid our data from being public information?
Well, in Ghana we have the Data Protection. We have the Data Protection Act. It doesn't work. Well, I don't know. but whether the data protection works or doesn't work, I'll give you an advice which you can take or you don't take. Data is very sensitive. Make sure you have the right data. I'll explain. The data gets to the right people and at the right time. Those are the three things I'm saying. Right data, right people, right time. What do I mean by right data? If you are building your data on any place, just make sure it is right. Consistency. I don't want to go into data integrity and all those things. That's a different area. When I talk about data integrity, I'm talking about data accuracy, completeness, and etc. No. But the data should be with the right people. So who do you give your data to? Are they the right people? TikTok, me, I'm not on TikTok. I'm sorry, I'm a tech person, but I'm not on TikTok. Can you believe that? I'm not on TikTok. No.
Or maybe specific apps.
What are they using my data for? Who are the owners? So why do you give your data to them? So my secret is I have the data. I make sure I have the right data. I'm going to give different date of birth or different names. It's my name. It's my data. Unless I have a pseudonym. There are some places you go, you might want to use a pseudonym. It's me. Who is accessing my data, or who am I giving my data to? If I don't know who I'm giving my data, why should I give my data to you? So me, I'm not on a lot of social media platforms. That is me. I'm a tech person, but I'm not on a lot of social media platforms. I told somebody I wasn't on Facebook. The person was shocked. I said, yes, I'm on LinkedIn, but I'm not on Facebook. LinkedIn, it gives me jobs. It gives me contacts. Yeah. One day I was there, then somebody fetched me from LinkedIn. He's been looking for, I worked with him so many years ago, and then he liked my job. He's looking for me. He wanted us to team up, and there was a project coming, and this. We worked. I charged him. He paid. That's happy. I was good. I'm not on whatever. Because I knew who I'm giving my data to. So to me, the secret about data is get the right data. Make sure your data goes to the right people. If you're not comfortable who your data is going to, you don't know the background of the person, then don't give the data to. What do I give the data to a person for? And then make sure you access at the right time, because some people are giving their data to people they don't even know who it is. Some people go to dating sites, whether the person is a boy or a girl or a hermaphrodite, you don't know the person, and you are telling the person about whatever, your whole life, and then you go somewhere, your mother's maiden name, your father's maiden name, whatever, your childhood, whatever, you give all the information you give to the person. Then later when you have problems, you say, it's the technology. Who gave the data out? You give the data. You don't know the person. Particularly on these dating sites and all those things, you see people giving data, and so anyway, I don't want to go there because I don't know. If you don't know who it is, why do you give your data to the person? And that is what is affecting us, even in fraud, even Momo fraud. Yeah. You are there, one day I was there, somebody call you, this, who are you? Oh, don't you remember me? I was the guy. I said, so who are you? Where are you from? The person was speaking some tree, I said, no, Minty tree. I said, are you sure? I said, yes, Minty tree. I said, oh, your name? I said, no. What? So I said, you speak English. And me too, I speak English, you see. Then the person was struggling. And he was asking so many questions. Me, I didn't know who it was. Sometimes you fall victim. I mean, we all occasionally fall victim. I mean, I've fallen victim before because of the circumstances. Somebody played a smart one and they picked some information. Fine. But for me, even in my Hotmail, Yahoo, Gmail, whatever, maximum 3 months, I change my password. Sometimes I
able to track all.
Yeah.
You don't know. I change my password.
Oh, really?
Yes. I change it every now and then. I change my password. There's a policy in my office where you are forced by the policy to change your password. That one every 90 days.
Like Microsoft Teams too.
Yes, you are forced by the policy to change your password.
You can't use the old one.
You can't use the old one. You can't repeat the history of the. Yeah. But for the new ones, for the one that I'm free, I've used it. The free ones, I change my password every now and then. So if you even have access to my password tomorrow, you try it, it won't work. Then how am I able to keep it? I know how to keep it.
Interesting.
Yeah. So don't give information out, personal information out to somebody you do not know.
But I mean, can I please?
Yeah.
You know how sometimes when you are visiting a website, maybe for the first time, there's something called cookies.
Yeah.
They'll just bring this pop-up thingy.
You say accept the cookies.
Before you can continue. There's a school of thought that as you accept like that, it's like they're able to have access to certain information.
There are risks to everything we do. If you don't want to be exposed, then take your machine, hit it on the ground, and then open it. Once you open your machine and you are on the internet, you are on a complex network. So the risks are there. As for the risks, it is everywhere. What you do is you don't expose yourself unnecessarily, and you don't fall to some. Just be careful. That's all I say. That's what the risk is there. Yeah. So manage it. Some of the cookies are not risky. So make sure your antivirus is up to scratch. Make sure you don't divulge unnecessary information. Check the web address, particularly if you are putting in some codes like bank accounts details. Is it HTTP or HTTPS? Yeah. Those things, if it's HTTPS, to some extent it's secured. If you are not sure, you can check on. There was a time I was looking for some information about the school and a whole lot of things, and I just put the school's name in Google and a whole lot of history about accreditation challenges. I said, look, this is not credible. I'm not going to waste my time to go and read about whether it's credible. The mere fact of what I've got out of it, I said, no, this is not credible, so I'm not going to use it. And then there are certain checks and balances in a lot of some of this. Just don't give your personal information easily. So I understand the question, but just be careful. As for the risks, once you are on the internet, you are exposed. If you don't want to be exposed, shut down your computer, shut down your phone, smash it, and make sure you don't use it. Even if you don't use it and you are in your room, something. So just be careful. Just be careful, because if you come to church, we are using technology. Technology is transmitting. You are seeing me via technology. I was away out of the country on a Sunday. I wanted to come to church. I just logged on. I was listening to church service from Accra Church. All of a sudden, boom, the thing went off. I took my phone. I looked for one of the technical guys, Niokwe. I texted Niokwe, what is happening? I'm not able to tune in. I was listening to this when they were just about to preach. It went off. He didn't respond. All of a sudden, he has given me a new link. I linked on, and woo, the preaching was on, and everything was back. Technology. Over how many miles away from home, I felt at home. I listened to it. I was excited. I got encouraged. What I don't do is I don't go to certain sites I'm not comfortable with. I don't divulge personal information on any site at all, and I'm not on some of the social media handles. I don't do it. I'm a professional. I work as a professional, and that is it. Somebody was robbed in England, and do you know how he got robbed? He had gone on holiday, and they took pictures and posted it. He's in this island, they're having fun, he and the wife and the kids. So the thieves realized and said, no, this guy is not at home.
Not at home for a while.
For a while. Oh. And he kept posting the holiday. Today we went here, yesterday we jumped here, the next day we went here. So they knew he wasn't at home. And as to how they managed to break into his house, only God knows. But they managed to break in despite all the security. So the guy was just, I don't know how to describe it, living his life on social media. Sometimes I take my phone, I go on people's status, I say this guy is not in the country. Because he's in a beach somewhere, you post it. He went to eat jollof somewhere, you post it. He went to eat chicken somewhere, you post it. Then I'm able to trace, even through somebody's profile, I'm able to trace where the person is at a particular point in time. Anytime I check, it's true. And somebody's work is a hacker. So his role is to follow you and then break into your system and take whatever information that you need. So don't divulge if you are not sure of who is watching. It's very, very simple. Yeah.
Interesting. Great. Thank you. We are far behind time, but I just wanted to use 2 minutes to just tell us how IT has impacted your family, especially where introducing your children to technology. You know, a lot of parents have that fear of how much can I expose my kids to, especially with all the content that is being created now. So how have you been intentional about that?
Well, IT to me has impacted my family positively. I'll start with my wife and my children. We use IT as a tool. She used IT as a tool in her profession. It's made her a better researcher. It's made her a better publisher. It's made her a better teacher. It's made her a better lecturer because she has access to the resource. For me, I set the rules. My son, surprisingly, is also into IT. And he said, look, maybe it has influenced him. He's studying after his dad. I have no idea. I don't know why. My girls, very, very brilliant, by God's grace, because they use the IT as a tool in their research. They use it as a tool to study. If you see my last daughter behind the machine, about 90 to 100% of the time, she solved all the past questions in her exam grade for the past 10 or 15 years. She got the questions from IT, from the tools, and then she came up with one of the best results ever. I'm praying that by God's grace, she gets an award. Yeah. So IT has been good. It's helped better. It's made me a better person in terms of communication. The only thing I will say is that I fixed the rules when they were younger. Now they are older, so I can't control them the way I used to control them earlier. But it has gone with them. When they were younger, the rules were there. We had a dining room. Bring your laptop to the dining room. I am there. I've connected my server, I've connected my workstation, I'm practicing. My son is there, he's doing his homework, also behind the machine. My wife is there doing her lecture notes, also behind my machine. My daughters are there, also doing their homework and their assignments, also behind the machine. So why will you go to any strange website? Because we are all there, working. My wife sees my screen. Then I work at an environment, it's an open office. At Ghana, we don't do a lot of open offices. The banks and a lot of private companies do it, but in most of our offices, they are closed offices. We have open door policy, so my machine is there, open door. I'm working. If you like, come and see what I'm doing. I don't care, because I'm not doing anything, how do you call it? That I'm not supposed to do. So I had an open door policy. So you are watching, you are doing your machine. I can pass by and then see what is happening. So that helps. So that is one of the things that I did. Set the rules. We work together behind the machine. Everybody behind the machine working. If you have a problem, we resolve it. Whatever. And it's a tool that has been helpful. It's impacted me positively. Some have excesses, and the excesses create problems for them. But if you have younger children, then set the rules for the younger children and let them appreciate that it is a tool that they are using to better their lives. And it is not just for chatting. And it's not just for whatever, but it's a tool you use to become a better person. So to me, it's impacted my family positively. Even though at the beginning of my career, it took me away from home sometime, but like I said, the explanations help, and then we became better people at using it. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I think my last question would be one that I'll usually ask, but maybe I'll see if I can twist it small. Yeah, like if there was something that you could change about the Ghanaian society, but in terms of IT, yes, if there was something you could change.
If there's something I can change about the Ghanaian society, I'd rather say that we are all tech savvy. Let's use technology as a tool to enhance our life and not just for chatting.
Social media.
And social media. Use the technology as a tool to make you a better person. If you sell tomatoes, ask yourself, how can I use technology to enhance my tomato selling business? Even if you carry the tomatoes on your head and then go along the street, how can I use technology to make me a better tomato seller? If you're a student, how can I use technology to make me a better student? If you are a pastor, how do I use technology to become a better pastor? If you're a teacher, how do I use technology to become a better teacher? If you are a street sweeper, how do I use technology? If we are able to do that, Ghana will develop and continue to be a better place. In that case, if the street sweeper realizes that he can use technology, then instead of using the broom to sweep you see how best with the resources, the right resources, get a machine to help you, and then you be behind the machine so that you don't lose your job. You've shifted your job from sweeping with a broom to sweeping with a tool that makes your work better. If you're a gardener, how do I use technology to make my work better? You can research on the plants, research on the do's and don'ts, research on the insects, and then see how best you can make sure your garden is as green as ever. Why? You apply technology to make your garden green, apply technology to make your work better. If you're a finance person, apply technology to make your work better. That's what I can say, that for Ghanaians, let's apply technology to make our lives better. And let's not see it as something for chatting only, but let's see it as a tool to enhance our work so that we are not shifted, we don't lose our work because of technology, but we are rather enhanced and we shift our focus to a better work, better output, better deliverable because of technology. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much. That final word that we should rather leverage on technology, using it as a tool to enhance our lives, to enhance the various aspects of our lives. And that's what will enable us to move forward. Thank you so much, Dr. Alex. I think I would like to share a few points that I highlighted and that can be your take home. You know, and the first one was to add to your skills so that you'll be able to stay relevant in whatever field you find yourselves. It was quite interesting to note how Dr. Alex, you know, had IT skills and has been using his IT skills through his career. But to that, he added project management skills, and along the way, wherever he found himself, he was able to adapt and adjust to learn the relevant skills in that place so that he could stand out in whatever he had to do. So it's important for us to keep learning, it's important for us to keep adding on new skills so that we will remain relevant. And it's also important to follow due process. It's important to follow due process in the field of IT. Whatever aspect of IT you are working in, it's important to understand the systems that you are working with very well. It's important to follow the step-by-step process that you need to go through because risks may be involved, lives may actually be involved or at risk. So it's important to follow due process. And I also learned that the industries that will be successful in the next coming years are the ones that leverage most on IT because we are in a technological age. So it is important that we get tech savvy and think about how best we can use technology to enhance whatever space that we find ourselves in. So it's very important. And I think my favorite part was that IT does not steal our jobs, but it rather motivates us to do better at our jobs. Or like Dr. Alex said, it is a shift in jobs, but not a loss of jobs. So we should not think that IT is here to replace whatever we do, but it's rather going to motivate us to look at it from a different perspective and see how best we can rather enhance our jobs or enhance our skills with IT, rather than thinking that IT will rather put us out of our jobs. So I think those are a few points that I noted, and I hope that you've also learned a lot. So for those of us who joined on YouTube and in person, thank you so much for joining and for being a part of this interesting conversation. And we hope to see you next month, April, for our next edition of Legacy Series. So thank you so much, Dr. Alex, once more for joining us, despite your busy schedule.
You're welcome.
Yes, we've learned so much and we are grateful. So thank you again for joining, and we hope to see you next month. Good night.